AAA gaming has crossed the line. Well, honestly, they crossed the line years ago, but finally, gamers are making them pay. That's right, we're no longer sitting back, relaxing, and saying, oh, this will all blow over. No, we are taking action with our own hands. We are not buying their games, we're not liking slop, we are actively disliking it, we are voicing our opinions, we know exactly where the refund button is on Steam. If a game's bad, if a game's slop, if it's just another virtue signaling political trash garbage pile, we press the refund button. But most important of all, we don't pre-order and we don't buy their shit in general. Oh yeah, finally gamers have had enough. And the times are changing. The times are changing rapidly. And the AAA industry and gaming in general can no longer get away with their stupid, outdated, evil practices. We are no longer listening when they say, you're a bad person, you should do this. We don't care. We do not follow. We do not listen to your garbage opinions. No one cares, and they have lost all power. And the best part is, they know. They know that they have lost all the power, and they are scared. They are scared because they know you will not pre-order the next AAA disaster slop fiesta. Oh yeah, they know when the next AAA thing appears, people are going to be talking about how bad it is. Call of Duty, unkillable franchise? Oh, what's that? 60% underperformed sales-wise? Dragon Age the Whale God? Ghost of Yote? Borderlands 4? All of this has been destroyed. All of this has been made irrelevant. And why? Because we're standing up and we're removing we're removing the slop from our mouths. And it is beautiful. I absolutely love to see it, boys. You did great. I'm proud of all of us. Keep doing the good job. Keep calling these people out. Keep fighting the good fight.
They have crossed the last line, and I am not letting this go. I have wanted to talk about this for such a long time. Have you guys noticed how soft games have gotten? Games that used to have an edge.
I actually talk about this constantly. There's almost no games with blood even any longer. And morality? Bro, the new Fable that you have already probably seen because it's so ridiculously woke and bad. That thing is saying, oh, we are Fable, we love the old franchises, but some things need to be modernized. For example, there's no right and wrong. There's no right side and bad side. It's all just shades of... You choose yourself what's right and wrong. What a bunch of garbage.
That used to have personality, that used to have a very clear and distinct identity that have been sanded down to the point where I don't even know what they are anymore. It's everywhere. It's the mechanics, it's the difficulty, it's the way that characters talk, the language that they use, how they're designed. The
fact that AAA games are literally wasting their time to create journalist review modes for games should tell you everything you want to know.
Themes that they explore and the topics that they explore pretty much across the board. In almost all forms of media, you're seeing this identity crisis where people have no idea who any of this stuff is being made for. And now we have games journalists that are coming out to make things worse, begging game developers to put an option into games, into mature-rated games, to make it where they can play it in front of their 7-year-old. Games that are intended for mature audiences and that are labeled as such need to be made child-safe.
Obviously.
What are you doing? It's like this industry is being turned into a padded room. Everything needs to be made for everyone without any barriers, I guess. No barriers, no friction, no obstacles. Oh, you have a game that has a very specific and distinct audience? We can't have that. Oh, we have
a game for everyone is a game for no one. It's literally the prime example of slop. Just try to make something for everyone. There you go. What do you have? Nothing. You have garbage. You have a failed attempt at something.
A game that might challenge or make people feel uncomfortable. Ooh, it's a bit touch and go, isn't it? I know we've seen this kind of discussion pop up around character design specifically, but that has always been a symptom of a much larger problem. And it's one that we are going to talk about today. But before that, a word from today's sponsor.
like and subscribe right now. Takes less than a second, and I greatly appreciate all of you who do. And it does help the channel a lot, in fact. It does actually have a huge impact, so please do. In any case, if you think this stuff is important, not display. They don't sponsor me, so display it's not important. In any case, like and subscribe right now. It takes less than a second. I greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you.
I don't know exactly when this all started, but games used to have conviction. You could look at a game and instantly know who it was made for. No ambiguity, no identity crisis, just a clear vision executed without apology. Space Marine 2 reminded me of what that felt like, or better yet,
Yeah, and now custodies are women because reasons.
at what we had lost. It knew exactly what it was, a bloody, gory mess of a game intended for mature male audiences about stoic warriors who barely speak and show their loyalty through action rather than dialogue, men acting like men, and it worked because it fully committed to that identity instead of hedging its bets, trying to appeal to everyone. But most games don't do this anymore because the industry has convinced itself that having a clear identity somehow makes games less accessible. And that's the word of the day here, accessibility. That term has changed so many games. The idea is simple enough, remove barriers so more players can play the games and enjoy these games. But the problem is that definition has been mutilated beyond all recognition and is now getting slapped onto anything that anybody wants changed. Accessibility is defined as the design of products, devices, services, vehicles, or environments to be usable by disabled people. I want you guys to keep that one in mind, disabled people.
Alana Pierce has worked with accessibility. Now, granted, she claimed that that was story writing for God, Ragnarok and whatnot. Man, Alana Pierce never stops lying, does she? In any case, all you need to know about accessibility is the fact that Alana Pierce worked on it, so it's a meme at the best of days.
That's it. I'm spelling that out right now because what's happening in the games industry has almost nothing to do with this definition anymore. Real accessibility removes unintentional barriers to experiencing a game as it was designed. Subtitles for deaf players, remappable controls for motor impairments, colorblind modes, UI scaling. None of these change what a game is, they just let more people reach it. But now, accessibility has been weaponized to justify gutting mechanics, lowering difficulty, sanitizing narratives, changing language, redesigning characters.
This is actually so true. Accessibility is literally, oh, the game's too hard for my 50 IQ brain. Please make it easier. And there you have it, liberals. That's you.
Demands that have nothing to do with disabilities and everything to do with remaking games for audiences that they were never intended for.
I mean, and literally Asmongold. Have you seen him play a game nowadays? It's just tragic. The guy barely understands anything. It seems like pain.
The reason I'm bringing this up right now is because this has only continued to get worse as journalists are now calling for the ability to play mature-rated games in front of young children. Recently, Chris Scullion of VGC published an article titled, "Developers, Please Give Me the Option to Remove Swear Words from Your Games." In the era of excellent accessibility options, parents should be able to play certain games in front of their children without reaching for the volume. He writes, "Last year I reviewed South of Midnight for VGC, and while I found its combat repetitive, I thought it was a beautiful adventure that featured a setting..."
That's because you're a loser who doesn't understand anything and your opinions don't matter. Anyone who thought South of Midnight was anything above a 0 out of 10 garbage pile dumpster fire deserves their rights taken away because they have proven that they are not at the same level of basic function.
Characters and
no amount of accessibility is going to make South of Midnight even a playable game.
Subject matter that aren't frequently explored in this medium. Not only does it look and sound superb, but it has a strong female protagonist, and as someone with a young...
There we go, the important part. It has a female protagonist and she's black. 10 out of 10 game.
Daughter,
well, that's literally what IGN considers a 10 out of 10. It is what it is.
I figured it would be a great game to play while she was around. For context, my daughter was about to turn 7 years old when South of Midnight released, and yes, the game's age rating suggests that it wasn't suitable for her. I'm going to bring this up, by the way, for whatever reason the writer doesn't want to. The game is rated M, 17 up. But the aim wasn't to have her play, it was to make sure that it was safe for me to play in the background while she was in the room, and having played an hour or so for the game for a preview, I had a pretty good feel for what it was offering. Now, to save a little bit of time, he keeps going. He explains that he figured his daughter can handle...
The fact that you played South of Midnight for more than 10 minutes and you were like, oh wow, I understand and like this game is a red flag. Your child should be taken away from you because you are a giant problem.
A little bit of fantasy violence just fine. She'd be playing with her Disney figures on the floor and doing some coloring, no big deal. And he said, hey, if watching a woman kick ass in the background rubbed off on her, then even the better. But within the first 5 minutes, character started swearing. He didn't think his kid heard it, but he ended up shutting off the game and waiting to play after she fell asleep. He then calls back to the same thing that had happened before with Avowed, another game with strong female characters, he makes sure to mention, that had the exact same problem. Too much.
I love how Legendary Drops is gonna point out the fact that it's all about strong female characters, but wokeness? No, 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 no. That's not a real thing, friend. Wokeness is not real. You gotta love these people.
Swearing, and he ended up having to turn it off. Notice how he keeps doing that every single time. All these games have strong female characters, like it's a stamp of approval, like he's using that to try to justify why these M-rated games should be safe for his 7-year-old. South of Midnight is rated M for mature. That means 17 plus. His daughter is 7. She is a decade away from being this game's intended audience. That rating exists specifically to tell him that this is not appropriate for children, and his response isn't, oh, well, maybe I should just play it when she's not around. No, his solution is that the game needs to change so he doesn't have to adjust his own behavior. Now, I love how he opens this response because he knows he is dropping the worst take possible. He says, before we go on, here's the paragraph that you can feel free to quote on social media when people inevitably moan at the headline of this article without actually reading it. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to say games should have their swearing removed or that content of the game...
Then what is the point of the article in the first place if that is what you're saying? See, this is what they do. They lie to your face. They literally present the exact opposite argument all this time, and then they're like, oh, but I actually don't want this to be removed. I can't. These people are literally so stupid that they think that they can lie to our faces right in front of us, and no one's gonna notice this. This is why they lost.
Games should be compromised in any way for the people who want to play them unedited. He then goes on to clarify his stance, saying that he's not against swearing in games when it's used well, when it can deliver impact, humor, or fear. He is categorically in favor in the right circumstances. His actual request, a toggle option for games where swearing isn't actually necessary. He wants developers to provide an option to turn it off and create a secondary audio track and a XXX for subtitles. He admits that this wouldn't work for every game. Obviously, you can't sanitize GTA 6 or games entirely built around profanity, but for games like South of Midnight or Avowed, he thinks it's a reasonable ask that would make the difference between whether or not he could play the game with his family. Again, we are talking about games that are rated mature and not intended for all audiences. In his closing, he writes, ultimately, we live in a world where many developers are finally implementing a solid range of accessibility options to make their games playable for players with a myriad of conditions, disabilities, or any other situations which would otherwise prevent them from enjoying a game fully. We also live in a world where games like Grounded, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Monster Hunter Wilds have arachnophobia modes for people who don't like encountering bugs in games. And there it is. That is exactly the problem that I am calling out right there. You do not have a disability. Having a kid is not a disability. You are not a part of those people. You are not a protected class. You are not being excluded, and nothing is being taken from you. The moment we start treating your parenting schedule like it's an accessibility failure, the entire concept becomes meaningless. And the lie that's at the center of this entire article is the claim that this does not compromise the game. It absolutely does on a fundamental level. The second you start asking for secondary audio tracks, sanitized subtitles, censored dialogue, you are asking these developers to make judgment calls based on which parts of their writing matter and which parts are disposable. Worse, you are the one that is making those calls for them. You are deciding what games do and don't need for whatever language you want or don't want in their games. You didn't write the script. You didn't make the game. Dude, the simple solution was there the entire time. Do not play these games while your kids are in the room. That is not oppression. That is adulthood. That M rating told you exactly what that game was, exactly who that game was for.
Look at this. Men doing men things. No words. You don't hear anything, but you're looking at this and you're like, that's some good stuff right there. Imagine how easy it is to actually make a game that's going to make you billions. You just do this. You don't even need voice acting, honestly, at this point. This is enough.
And exactly who it wasn't for. Ignoring that and then framing it as the game being unreasonable is just an insane level of entitlement. You know, after reading this article, I feel like I'm the one that needs some accessibility options now. Now, I want to make this clear. This is not just one bad take. I have seen enough arguments like this enough times to know that this is intentional and also see the amount of damage that it's done. Look across the games industry, especially when it comes to major franchises. You can constantly see the softening of edges, and it's because these companies are bending to an audience that doesn't exist. They're bending to arguments coming from people that don't represent anybody. You know what irritates me the most?
Who are these people, though? Who are these ghosts? Can we maybe quantify them in some way? I don't know. Maybe we can. I mean, I certainly can. I think you certainly can. God, what a time to be alive.
Is that this guy couldn't even see the forest through the trees. The entire time he's talking about strong female characters, blinded by it, without realizing that there's a trend there. That these games are constantly relying on swearing because their writing is so weak. It's not that female characters are the problem, it's that the writing is shallow, so these guys are trying to manufacture maturity and impact through cursing.
This is actually true, by the way. This is 100% true. If you pick any Vogue game, it's gonna have an excessive amount of swearing and profanity in it. Because that's what these people think dialogue is. And that's also a part of what makes those games horrible. You know, small part, but still part. Okay? They just think saying a lot of fuck is the way to go. That somehow makes the game better.
All the time. It's just bad writing. Am I really the superior journalist here? Is that what's going on? I'm immediately reminded of Forspoken. That game did that so much and it was so blatant. How do you not see that? Accessibility needs to be protected from these people. It does not belong to them. It is not for you. It is for people that have genuine obstacles in life, a much harder life than you have. And you're trying to reappropriate that for yourself. Pretend like you are disabled in some way.
Whoa. Don't let the people who non-stop are in competition in the Victim Olympics hear the fact that their lives are easy, okay? They're gonna pop a vein if you do that.
That is definitely not the case. And it's disgusting to me that people want to take this and make it their own. You don't belong there, okay? You don't belong there. This is why people are sick and tired. I hope people understand that. Because this isn't about, it's not about inclusivity. It's not about accessibility. It's everything has to bend. Everything has to soften. Everything has to be made for everyone. And that doesn't matter in the face of warning labels.
Well, actually, for everyone but us. You know who I'm talking about.
These guys will just ignore it entirely. And doing that, you know, at some point, the answer just has to be no. You cannot have it your way. This game is not made for you. This game has a different audience, a different intended audience, a different way to play that you're just not going to be able to get anywhere else. And in some cases, even in the cases of disability, sorry, sometimes these games just can't be made so that you can play them. But not a lot of these guys want to put their foot down like that. And when you have all of these games that constantly try to bend and adjust themselves to everyone, they just lose themselves. And we see it all the time. This whole thing reminds me of the exact same drama that we saw around Alana Pierce when she had argued that Elden Ring needs to have a pause screen. And
oh, yeah, because her child is... I covered this so much. The story here is Alana Pierce is like, I have a child. I have a disability. Having a child is a disability. Here's a Microsoft, the company, a work guide that tells you that having a child is a disability. So I'm right. God, Alana she is the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, listen. No one of you can say a single bad thing about Alana because she has already done that herself, okay? She is a non-stop locale at this point, and she never learns and never gets better. I mean, The most Nepo baby of the Nepo babies. Pirate Software is taking notes.
She was going as far to say that developers effectively treat parents as situationally disabled. And I get that she's not literally saying that parents are disabled, but the
she literally said that. She unironically 100% full throttle still probably believes that having a child is a legitimate form of disability. Oh my lord. She even defended the fact that she believes that.
framing is the problem. They're being discussed as if they are disabled, and that's just fucking absurd to me. The question then came up, well, what happens if the baby is crying? What happens if your kid hits their head? Well, you just put the controller down and you go deal with it. If you lose progress, it is what it is. That's life. That's just the way things go. Not every single experience needs to be built to protect you from circumstance, responsibility, or friction. Now, sure, you're allowed to have an opinion on whether or not you think games should have a pause menu or not, but From Software very deliberately chose not to include one, and they did it for a reason. They want you to not feel safe while playing their games. They want rest to feel earned. You might think that adding a pause button wouldn't take anything away, but they clearly do, and I'm right there with them, or I'm at least going to respect what they say because, well, having the option to pause whenever you want does completely break immersion. It reminds you that you're playing a game. It pulls you out of the moment, and it entirely kills tension. And honestly, given how consistently good their games are, I'm going to side with the creative vision over the parent that is worried about losing their progress after stepping away. The world does not need to bend to your life. Sometimes you just need to step away from the game. Actually, speaking of From Software, their games always seem to be the center of a lot of these accessibility arguments, and they always show up every single time they have a new game come out. The same conversation crawls its way back out. Difficulty. Who is the game?
Yeah, can we please have an easier game? Classic. Well, anyway, that was Legendary Drops. 10 out of 10. Bye!